This video will look at the BOM Alternates module in WilloWare's Manufacturing Power Pack. So before we get into the software, what is a BOM alternate? We'll take a look at the bill of materials inside Dynamics GP in a little bit, but just at a high level, a BOM alternate is an item on the bill of materials that can be used in place of another item on the BOM. So in this case, there's an alternate item called ARM S that can be used in place of the regular item, which is ARM. And normally the way that this would work is that you have sufficient inventory of ARM, but if you're going to make a chair, you only have 3 arms and you need 4 to make a couple of chairs. You can go and get some of the ARM S supply if you have a shortage of ARM in order to complete the manufacturing order. Okay, so let's take a look at a bill of materials in GP that has some alternates assigned. In this case, our primary item is leg. And we actually have 2 different alternate items here, leg S and leg R. You can tell it's an alternate item because over here on this side of the window, leg R has been set up as an alternate for leg, and leg S is also set up as an alternate for leg. When you click on the leg item, you can click this Assigned Alternates button and see which items are assigned as alternates for the primary item. Now, where this comes into play is when you create a manufacturing order. So we've created the manufacturing order. At this point, we can't tell whether or not we have enough inventory of everything. We'd have to go into the pick list, look through the pick list to see if there's any items with shortages. And then once we've identified an item with shortage, we then need to figure out what the alternates are and whether or not we can substitute anything. So we have a pretty simple pick list here, but you can imagine if the pick list had many tens or hundreds of items on it, unless you've carefully arranged everything so that your alternates fall in sequence right next to the primary item, they can be buried someplace in the bill of materials, so they're a little bit difficult to find. You have the same Assigned Alternates expansion button that's available from the pick list. So it shows you what the alternates are, what the quantity available is that you have that you can substitute. But it doesn't actually do anything, so you can double click on it. It doesn't do anything. It just tells you where they are. You can then go find the alternate item and put in a quantity to use. So you can see I can enter a quantity for both leg S and leg R. It doesn't do anything with this original quantity. So perhaps we need 40 total. Maybe we're short by 10. We could put in 10 here, or we could put in 10 down here. It doesn't do anything with this original quantity. So it's really easy to make a mistake when doing this substitution and not change the quantity of the primary item. So perhaps what your process is that when you need to use an alternate, you want to use the entire quantity from the alternate, right? We wouldn't want to use 2 regular legs and 2 S legs. We then want to pull all 40 from leg S or from leg R. But you can see if you do that, it doesn't do anything up here to change this down by whatever the quantity is that you've put in down here. Okay, so that's the basic functionality of the BOM Alternates the BOM alternates functionality that is available within Dynamics GP Manufacturing. It essentially provides the ability to specify a relationship between a couple of items on a bill of materials so that you know that they can be used as alternates, but it doesn't really do anything to support the use of the alternates when you're short of the primary item. So now we'll go and we'll enable the BOM Alternates functionality in Manufacturing Power Pack, and then we'll take a look at how it affects manufacturing orders and material requirements planning. Okay, as I just mentioned, there are a couple of places in manufacturing where WilloWare's BOM Alternates functionality comes into play. The first is on the manufacturing order when you create a pick list. BOM Alternates is going to jump in when you create the manufacturing order and the pick list is built. It's going to look for shortages on the pick list. And then for any shortages, it's going to look at the bill of materials and see if that item has an alternate. And then it's going to see if you have available inventory of that alternate. And if so, a window will pop up and show you, here's the item that you're short of, here's the alternate, here's the quantity available, and you'll be able to automatically swap alternate for primary at that time. The second place where it comes into play is when you run material requirements planning. If MRP sees that you have a shortage on the pick list and it's recommending that you buy more of the primary item, our BOM Alternates will jump in, take a look at that bill of materials or at that pick list, see if the pick list has an alternate. It'll reduce the buy recommendation by any available inventory of the alternate item. So you can enable each one of these separately. When you enable it for the pick list, it's enabling a concept that says we want to maintain production by any means possible. If we have an alternate, use an alternate. If you enable it for MRP, it's also using sort of a use up function. It says if we have some of this alternate item, let's use it rather than buying the primary so that we can reduce inventory of that alternate item, because we really just want to focus on buying and using the primary. So now we'll jump back into GP and take a look at how BOM Alternates works in both of these locations. Alright, so let's begin by enabling the BOM Alternates modules in Manufacturing Power Pack. You can see that they're separated out in the setup window. You can enable either one individually or do them both at the same time, do them both together. So we'll turn them both on and then we'll go take a look at what they do. What this message is telling us here is there are a number of features in Manufacturing Power Pack that you'd actually need to restart your GP client, or other users would need to restart their GP client. In this case, with these two features, they turn on automatically once you enable them. So we'll create another manufacturing order for chair. Schedule the MO. When the schedule MO process runs, it builds the pick list, and as part of the building the pick list, our BOM Alternates utility is going to jump in and look for shortages, and what we'll see is that a window pops up and tells us what our shortages are and what the available inventory of the alternates is. So you can see that we don't have any of the primary item, so we're short the entire 40. And we actually don't have enough of either one of the alternates. So in this case, we couldn't do this manufacturing order. You can substitute use of one of the alternates by just double-clicking on the alternate in this window. So in this case, let's use Tenom chair. And you see that still leaves the two of the R leg. We could double click on this and use those two, but let's jump over into the pick list and take a look at what it did. So you can see it automatically reduced the quantity required of the primary item, and then it substituted in 10 of leg S. Now I'm going to delete this manufacturing order, and we'll do another one because there's another bit of functionality that is added by BOM Alternates. Okay, so the window pops open again, and it shows us what our shortages are, and that we've got quantity available of the different alternate items. But perhaps we don't just automatically want to swap 10 of these or 2 of these. If you attempt to manually make changes to the pick list to adjust for use of the alternate items, so in this case, let's say we want to use 10 of leg S, BOM Alternates jumps in and it looks at the quantity of the primary item, and it's going to force you to reduce the quantity of the primary item before increasing the use of the alternates. So this prevents the situation where you're manually making changes to the pick list to use the alternate items, but you forget to adjust the use of the primary item. So then, what happens with that is, if you forget to make that change, you accidentally issue more than is needed to the manufacturing order. And in fact, usually what happens is, since you're planning to use the alternate item, you don't notice that this is still on the pick list, that the manufacturing order goes through and consumes whatever that quantity is of the alternate item out of inventory, even though you haven't actually used it, and now your inventory is inaccurate. Okay, so that's BOM Alternates in manufacturing order entry. Next we'll take a look at what BOM Alternates does when you run MRP. BOM Alternates for MRP runs at the end of the MRP regeneration process. You may have seen a little window pop up briefly in the upper left hand corner. That was the BOM Alternates utility running through the MRP buy recommendations. What it does is that for every buy recommendation, it checks what that is pegged to. Then it looks at the pick list for that manufacturing order. If the shortage has an alternate item specified on the pick list, it then checks if there's inventory available of that alternate. And if there is, it adjusts the buy recommendation to plan for usage of the alternate item. So everything that BOM Alternates does to the MRP recommendations is recorded in the MRP Alternates inquiry window. And we'll pop open the MRP quantities query here. Okay, so you can see that all of these are adjusting recommendation number 6, which is right here, which currently shows that you're going to need 2. It originally had a requirement for 14. So it said you can use 2 of leg R. That same and that, by the way, then consumed all of leg R. It then used another 2 of leg S to meet the requirement for MO42. And then there's a couple of more recommendations down here. So you can see by the time you get down to this last one, at that point MRP was recommending 6. It deducted another 4, which is why it leaves us with 2. Okay, so just to recap again, the BOM Alternates module in WilloWare's Manufacturing Power Pack connects to the pick list when you create a manufacturing order, and into the MRP buy recommendations. On the pick list, you get a window that pops up that tells you what the shortages are and allows you to automatically swap out an alternate item for the primary. And then if you manually edit the pick list, it's checking the quantities of the alternate item against the quantity of the primary item to make sure that you adjust downwards the primary item if you use the alternate. And then in MRP, it's looking at the buy recommendations pegging those back to the MO and the pick list, checking if there's available inventory of alternates on the pick list, and then adjusting downwards the buy recommendation to encourage consumption of the alternate item. If you'd like to learn more about this product or any of the other WilloWare software, please visit us at willowware.com or send us an email at sales@willowware.com.